um, start the presentation. So I'm gonna share my screen. This is part 4 of the series that was started a little while ago. It's called Emergent Concerns Amid COVID-19 Pandemic. This is part 4. All right, this is our 4th part. So we're going to start off with a quick brain teaser, and I am going to give you 3 minutes for this. No, I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes for this. I think y'all gonna knock this one right out the park. Here we go. We gotta get the brain moving a little bit. All right. So here we go. Here's your first brain teaser of the day. It says, brain teaser number 1. A doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same woman, an attractive girl named Sarah. The bus driver had to go on a long bus trip that would last a week. Before he left, he gave Sarah 7 apples. Why? And I'm going to start the timer now.
7 apples.
Okay, Thakia will be coming on. She'll be a little late, but she's coming on. Let me go to Zabeda.
Okay.
I think if he's gone for a week, then each apple may stand for each day.
Apps.
I
think the same
I hear you. She's on it. She's on it quick.
7 days in a week, yeah.
A doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same
keeps
woman.
the doctor away.
Say it again.
An apple
a day keeps the doctor away.
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at the solution. Here's the solution right here. Let me see. Let me highlight it, and I'm gonna make it bigger.
Uh-oh.
And Miss Charles is correct. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So he's in competition with the doctor. So he knew if he gave her an apple a day to keep the doctor away. Keep him away from Miss Gary. We won't have to fight for her no more. All right, here we go. Y'all on it today. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an old fable.
That's an old saying. Yep, apple a day keeps the doctor away. All right, here we go. Here's our next one. Brain teaser number 2. What is 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/4 goat? What is 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/4 goat?
Now stumped. I had no clue.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta give y'all the clock again. Wait a minute. I'll give you 3 minutes. This was a little bit more challenging. A little bit more challenging. Here we go. Brain teaser number 2. What is 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/4 goat?
I had no clue on that one at all.
Look at my sister. She thinking hard. Look at it. Go ahead, Sister Alfreda. She's thinking hard.
There's 3/7 cats.
Bashir, you got any guess?
None whatsoever. What does chicken, cat, and goat have to do?
Common.
That was common.
It's like we can't go to Jamaica. Oh no, that wouldn't be because of the cat.
Goose.
All right, y'all got 2 minutes. I'm hoping some help can come in here.
Yeah,
give me some help on this one.
Give us a hint.
Give y'all a hint. All right, here we go. Listen carefully, y'all. What is 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/4 goat?
When we read that, I mean...
No, that's y'all hint. That's the hint I gave y'all.
Well, I'm still stuck
Oh,
in the place I was.
wait. Give us an
Does it have anything to do with pigs?
Wait a minute. Who that? Who just said that?
My sister Thakia. I got the picture of my family at the top.
Oh, okay. I see you, sister.
I'm not Zoom appropriate right now.
It's okay.
And I also will. I'm gonna leave it on, but I'm gonna step out for a minute in like about 5 minutes too, and then I'll be back in like 15.
Okay. Well, don't worry. Inshallah, we'll it's taping, so you'll be able to see it.
Okay. So is it pig? Like
Chicago.
I'm
Wait a minute.
stuck on this one.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What'd you say?
Chicago.
That. Let's see if she's correct. Let's look at the solution for this one. Oh, shucks. Let's see. Let's see if she got it. So I am going to. It is
What?
Chicago. And let me show you how.
How did you figure that out?
So
In the
if you look at the word chicken,
Yeah,
it's 3/7 of that word. So there's 7 letters in the word chicken.
right.
So you're going with the first 3 letters, CHI. So that's
And then-
3/7 of the word chicken.
Okay.
Then you look at 2/3 cat. So
Okay.
there's 3 letters in the word cat.
It's
I mean,
the
yeah,
same
3 letters in the
as
word cat, and then you're looking at the first 2 letters.
Right.
First 2 letters.
Okay.
So that's
Chicago.
Chicago, and then with
Good.
goat, 2/4. All right, 2/4
I would
is
have. I would
G-O.
have never.
Absolutely.
I would be here till tomorrow.
Trying to
I would
figure
be
that
here
one
to
out.
2023.
You said- well, I actually, it's funny because I did something like that for a college course. And,
Okay.
So it was pretty. It was pretty good. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, let me try this one with them. All right. So here
What
we
did
go.
I miss? What did I just miss?
Oh, sister, you missed it. You missed it.
Oh.
They were struggling
What
with these
was
brain
it?
teasers, and then Bashira came in and she got
Yep,
she got
she
both
got
of them.
it.
She got both of them. All right, so here we go. Excellent job, y'all. So I think our brains are warmed up.
Chicago. Okay. I have to
All right,
remember
so
that.
we are going to move on to this. All right, so these will be some warm-ups. So the first thing is when we talk about the government bills, how many pages do you think they usually are?
I'm sorry, what was your
How
question?
many pages?
The government bills, like some of the spending bills and stuff like that, that they,
Uh-huh.
vote
I
on.
would
and
like to
stuff.
say 400 or 500 pages, but some tell me they're more like 30.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's look back at 2000. I think this is 2018. All
Some
right.
are 7, some are
And
less.
this was the spending bill.
Oh Lord.
Now Rand Paul he posted this showing you an example of the spending bill. So it says, well, here it is, all 2,232 budget busting pages. The House already started votes on it. The Senate is expected to soon. No one has read it.
I
Right.
guess not.
So when they get these bills, I mean, a whole lot of information, and they have a limited amount of time to read them. So what do you think winds up happening?
They don't read all of that.
They don't read it, right? And they just pass this stuff through.
Wow.
Okay, so you don't know what could have been in that bill.
That's right.
Okay, so this is the
Wow.
games that are being played. But now let me show you. So now we're talking about the COVID relief bill. All right. So let me show you a little bit of information on that. It said the COVID relief bill on December 21st, the United States Senate finally passed a pandemic relief bill. The most attention-grabbing part of this legislation is the direct payments of what? What did you hear? Anybody know?
Payments of.
$600.
$600
And then
to almost every American. A day later, President Donald Trump got on TV and called it a disgrace. It's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. It's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. He declared, adding that Congress should immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and increase the ridiculously low 600 to 2,000. All right, so that's what we were hearing in the news.
Yep.
So what happens next? Will he veto the bill just as he vetoed the military spending bill on December 23rd? As he so often does, Trump has latched on to a piece of reality, then joyfully spun it into a huge misrepresentation. It is correct that the bill, which passed on December 21st, is constantly described as a COVID relief bill, but it is actually not. It is actually a part of an omnibus spending bill, and that's when they put a whole bunch of bills together. All right, and I'm going to skip down here to, wait a minute. I'm going to skip down here to the last part. This bill it is 5,593 pages long.
Ooh.
And the COVID-19 relief legislation worth about 900 billion is part of it. Okay, so this is how they sneak different laws in, different things into the bills and stuff, because there's so many pages. So many pages. Now, who's going to sit there and read 5,593 pages?
Well, that's purposely done.
Exactly. It's like the fine print.
Yeah.
That's a tactic so that you don't know, nobody's going to read all of that.
Exactly.
Absolutely
So
not.
when they go ahead and pass it, the key part here is what are they all pass? What are they pass?
What's in it?
What is in there? What is actually in there that's being passed that we don't realize? Okay.
That's right.
So
Well,
here we go. So we're going to continue this a little bit. All right. So let's look at this next part. It says and I just highlighted some of the things that was said. It says the long-awaited emergency COVID-19 stimulus package, finally agreed to by Republican and Democrat leaders, will give billions of dollars of handouts to globalist entities and foreign countries. Though the 900 billion economic relief bill provides billions to schools and rental assistance programs, as well as one-time direct payment of $600 to Americans, billions more are loaded pork allocated to globalist organizations and foreign countries that have no role in defending America's national security. For example, $4 billion is slated for the Gavi Alliance, a global vaccine alliance co-founded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, heck no.
mm.
You know what they were caught doing in Nigeria.
Yeah. But see, but you see how these things are hidden in a bill, you know, that's supposed to be about COVID relief. And they said that's like a small part of it. Okay. But now here we go. Let's continue. Let's see what else is in there. So it says COVID relief bill continue, says the stimulus bill. The government closes the economy. You lose your job. You face eviction. You get $600 for all your troubles. Meanwhile, they send $135 million to Burma, $85.5 million to Cambodia, $1.4 billion for Asia Reassurance Initiative Act, and then $130 million to Nepal.
That's
For
ridiculous.
what?
That is ridiculous.
And you would have to look at the bill and see the rationale. I can actually give you a link to where you could actually read through the bill. Okay. But now here's the last part, but check this one out. This is real interesting too. It says COVID relief bill continued. It says the new COVID relief bill contains $500 million for Israel. Okay. The stimulus proposes giving $700 million to Sudan. Okay.
Wow.
And then the COVID relief bill also includes $10 million for gender programs in Pakistan.
Oh, they need to
Gender.
stop.
Right. So now remember, these gender programs is about pushing a homosexual agenda, which is really about genocide.
Yeah.
Because if I turn you away from your mate, you won't reproduce. Okay. And that's what the game is. That's why they're pushing this so much in other countries.
Wow.
All right. So this is the game. All right. But all of this is in what's supposedly, which is what is supposed to be the COVID relief bill. All right. So now here we go. Now we're going to move on, because now I want to talk just as a warm up. We're talking about the media, right? And I told you before how there is an attack on religion. All right. But I want you to watch this. This is a clip from the new Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season trailer. All right. But check this out. I want you to listen to this.
Perfection is attainable. Hashtag blessed on that one. I'm a purebred pioneer Mormon. Oh, here it goes. I'm Jewish. I'm from Chicago.
I'm actually Pentecostal. We are Jewish by heritage, Mormon by choice.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
It is a very big deal that I'm no longer Mormon.
I was raised Mormon, but I'm converting to Islam. Assalamu alaikum, bitches. A good Mormon doesn't drink, doesn't have sex.
Nice to meet you. I was bringing the decadence and they were bringing the depression.
How many swans died for this?
I love this jacket because it makes me happy, not because it's Dolce Gabbana.
Quietly, faithfully, worship me.
There's a lot of dark under the crust of perfection.
Pray for me. There's a lot of misrepresentation of who's friends with me in this circle.
All right, so we can stop that there. So you can see just the disrespect towards religion, and they have these women being very materialistic, kind of promiscuous. It's very 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 interesting. But you heard the lady say, "Assalamu alaikum, bees."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people are looking at her. Oh, she's a Muslim. Okay, and they're associating this foolishness with Islam, or they're associating their foolishness with Christianity or Judaism. Okay, so remember, television controls your perception. It controls how you see and view the world. So you have to be very careful with what you watch and what you allow your children to watch, because these people, like I said, are doing nothing but programming us. Okay, now let's move on. Did you all see the Queen's speech, the Queen of England's speech? All right, Queen of England did a speech. Yep. So I'm going to let you hear a little bit of that. This is for Christmas. Okay, she did this on Christmas.
For nearly 70 years, I have kept a tradition of speaking to you at Christmas. But on the BBC, I haven't always been able to speak plainly and from the heart. So I'm grateful to Channel 4 for giving me the opportunity to say whatever I like without anyone putting words in my mouth. If there is a theme to my message today, it is trust. Trust in what is genuine and what is not. 2020 has been a challenging year for us all. A year when most of you, thanks to toilet roll shortages, have finally understood how it feels to have a predicament on the throne. One thing that has sustained many of us is our families, which is why I was so saddened by the departure of Harry and Meghan. There are few things more hurtful than someone telling you they prefer the company of Canadians. But at least I still have my beloved Andrew close by. It seems unlikely he'll be heading to North America anytime soon. 2020 has also been a year of heroes, such as brave NHS workers, many of whom were forced to take incredible risks, like treating Boris Johnson, knowing at any time, as a result, they too could become pregnant. As is so often the case, technology helped tackle the challenges we faced this year. Like many of you, when I wasn't settling down with my husband to Netflix and Phil, as I like to call it, I was perfecting my moves for TikTok. In fact, there's something I'm rather excited to share with you all. I'm under strict orders from Philip not to, but as he's nodded off in front of Home Alone 2, would you mind awfully? You'll have to move that camera back. Everyone ready? I just wanna party all night.
know she could move like that.
If that doesn't get me on Strictly, I don't know what will.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all out of breath.
So much of our world today comes to us through these screens. Which brings me back to that question of trust, of whether what we see and hear is always as it seems. On behalf of myself, your queen, and all at Channel 4, I trust you will have the very merriest of Merry Christmases.
So you can see that
That
wasn't
was
even her.
weird.
Now,
Look at that.
now it's weird because that's something that they call a deep fake. They can superimpose people's faces and voices on somebody else. Okay.
They've done that on like late night shows.
Right. But that's dangerous. That's dangerous technology. Because
Yeah.
they can fool you into anything. All right.
Well, they've done that to, they already on the news, they found out that they did it to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
They made them look like they were saying something that they weren't saying, and they said it was, you know, whatever kind of technology it was to do that. They said what it was, and that it really didn't happen.
Well, they call it a deep fake or a shallow fake. All right. Now, what I did was I did include a video with Adele explaining how the technology works. All right. So here's Adele. Let's listen to her.
Hello. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a new technology that's affecting famous people. Remember when Obama called Trump a dipshit?
Complete dipshit.
Or the time Kim Kardashian rapped?
Oh my goodness.
Naked. Or when Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonated himself?
Get out of this, the bombing there. Get out.
Deep fake, deep fake, deep fake.
You gotta be kidding.
This is a deep fake too.
So that was Nina Adele.
Oh, wow.
See how you can be tricked and manipulated by this technology.
You can also see that their mouth is not moving with
Yeah.
the speech that they're saying.
Right, right.
Doesn't
Now,
line up.
right, but think about it, how when the technology improves even more.
But the thing about it is, like, when they did that to Obama, it was on point. And I noticed from like doing things with my job that when you show videos on Zoom, it's delayed. Like when you do YouTube, Netflix, anything on Zoom, the videos are delayed. But in real time, they look like they're saying that because I've seen it.
Right, right. But see, when this gets even more perfected, I mean, I've seen ones where they've taken and put Bruce Lee in the Matrix. All they did was they covered Keanu Reeves' face with Bruce Lee's face, and it looked like he starred in the movie The Matrix. So we can easily be manipulated by this technology. That's why you have to be very careful about what you think you see or hear on television. Okay, because we can easily be fooled. All right. Now, we said that the theme of this was it always seems impossible until it's done. All right. Things always seem impossible until they
get that little bucket from Dina?
right.
Huh?
So here we go. We're gonna go now. Last time we talked about Bill Gates and how he had, was helping to work on a machine in Africa where they could turn feces into drinking water.
Microwave.
Right? Remember we we ended that? Okay. So now we're gonna go right back into the presentation because I think we're warmed up and we have a new person here. I think that's what's your name, sister? I think
Dina, she looked like she's sleepy.
Dina.
Well, I'm
That's
not
Dina.
Hey, Dina.
I'm very much
Dina.
awake.
Hey, Dina.
welcome,
Lisa.
sister.
Yeah, Dina, it's me.
All
Hey,
right.
Frida.
Welcome.
Hello, brother. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, no problem, sister. Thank you. Thank you for showing up.
I know you have an agenda and you want to move along, but I do want to say about television and all of these entities that we have access to, we do have to be careful.
Right.
But you know what doesn't lie to you is your gut.
Uh-huh.
So when you hear, and the truth will stand, all other things will fall.
Right.
So I just wanted to add that, you know, when I watch television, I don't always take it for face value.
Right.
Because I can't rely on, because, you know, we don't live in a time where people are honest.
Nope.
Got that right.
And
Nope.
people are easily persuaded because they don't want to read anything either.
Right.
And then you have to be careful what you read, because when you read things, you know, it's just, you have to do the work.
Right.
If you want to know what it is before you say, or, you know, allow yourself to share information.
Right.
And they've been doing that whole, I can't remember the term you called it, with the face and the body exchange. They've been doing that for years.
Yeah. Well, those are called deep fakes, or shallow fakes. That's the new term I heard.
Oh, okay. And that's my little bit I want to share. But,
Oh, sister, no, thank you. This is a conversation, all right, and this is where we share, you know, points of view and knowledge, so we can strengthen each other, because we as believers have to work together, because this system is coming after us.
Yes.
And you will see in years to come, and maybe a shorter time than that, just how bad it's after us. Okay. Now watch this. Now this is the video that the one young lady, she wanted to share, because we were talking about the vaccines at the last presentation. All right. So this is the video that the one sister wanted to share, where the woman fainted. All right. And we have an update to that story too.
Meanwhile, we're seeing different reactions to the vaccine. A lot of people talking about this one. Take a look. One nurse in Tennessee fainted on a live broadcast after getting the Pfizer shot. Doctors say it's not uncommon for people to have that reaction, and minutes later, she was back on her feet. That nurse says she feels confident that her vaccine was done safely and correctly.
All right. So now what they're saying is that this woman might be dead, because they get in contact with her, and they had somebody who had the same name, same age, and everything on the death list. So they're trying to find out if she's actually still alive. So that was interesting. All right, and then this is one I just picked up, where the nurse got Bell's palsy from
the vaccine.
Yes.
Brother, before you move on, I saw a news television, where they tried to say that she passed out because she experiences pain. She faints when she experiences pain. Right. My question is, like, I have like a real legitimate fear of needles. I don't even know how I got through my pregnancies, but I have no idea how I did it. But I'm asking all you guys, how painful is a needle really?
Oh, exactly.
It's
Right. So you passing out from a needle? I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, some people's phobias are so severe, you know. It could be possible, but I don't even know with that case now, because like I said, they're saying that they can't get in touch with this woman.
Wow.
So I don't know, and they said her name appeared on this.
I don't know why people fail to realize that everyone is not the same.
Exactly.
You give 100 people that injection, don't mean that 100 people are going to go through it with flying colors.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. You're absolutely right. So we need you to debate with Dr. Fauci. Look like Brother Brian wanted to say something.
No, I'm still listening.
Okay, all right. So here this is.
I have something to say later.
Okay, all right. So here we go. This is the nurse that got Bell's palsy.
Hi, I am a registered nurse in Nashville, Tennessee. and my name is Kalila Mitchell. I'm reaching out to everyone about the COVID-19 vaccination. I recently took the COVID-19 vaccination. After the shot, I felt fine, but within 3 days, I went to the doctor because I had problems with my face. The whole left side of my face, actually. I have Bell palsy now. And as you can see, I can't smile. I'm trying to smile. I'm just getting embarrassed at work. But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy. Please, America, they do not care about us. Do not take this vaccination.
So that's even like in the case where they had that when we looked at last week where they had the swine flu scare and they were giving people the vaccine and the woman wound up getting Guillain-Barré syndrome. So there's a lot of stuff going on with this vaccine. It's been it's been rushed to the market, and we have to be very careful with it. All right. So I'm going to share just some more information with you a little later on in the presentation that you're going to find. I think you're going to find very interesting. All right. But now this is a case with a woman was on dealing with a flight. All right, this is a JetBlue flight, but just listen to this because it's interesting.
Tonight, a mother from Brooklyn none too pleased with JetBlue after she and her 6 kids were forced off of a flight home from Florida.
Here's the issue. The mom's 2-year-old kept taking off her mask, the coronavirus mask, a 2-year-old.
Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson spoke with her.
Passengers on board a JetBlue flight going to bat for a stranger ready to call customer service. The ordeal centered around Chaya Brooke, who was kicked off the Newark-bound flight, along with her 6 kids.
I was very shaken. My kids started crying. They didn't know what was going on.
The 39-year-old from Brooklyn was heading home from a family vacation in Orlando Wednesday. They all had on mandatory masks, except her 2.5-year-old daughter.
She never wore a mask this entire few months. She had never worn a mask. I would never make her wear a mask. She's a baby.
Chaya says 3 crew members told her she had to put a mask on her daughter. One happened to be on her outbound flight and had told her the same thing.
I said I could try. I mean, I don't want to. I have to tie her hands and feel like, how am I going to get her to wear a mask? I took a mask out of my bag and I tried putting it on her. She pulled it off.
She was then told she had to get off the plane. If not, everyone would have to. That's exactly what happened.
I'm not a confrontational person. I never asked for this. I just want to get home to my house, home to New York.
The family is still upset, and for that, a JetBlue executive did apologize, but stood by its policy, which was updated August 10th and follows CDC guidelines stating all travelers 2 years and older must wear a face covering over their nose and mouth throughout the journey. Chaya was going by a policy which said small children were exempt, but that was from May. She wants crew members retrained and is considering legal action.
We're traumatized. I was traumatized, and it was so unnecessary.
So what do y'all think about that?
I don't know. Me personally, I think it's like a catch-22 because kids are different. I mean, honestly, when I was 2, my mom put a shoe on my head. I wasn't gonna touch it. But I mean, she, the rule is everybody wear a mask, right?
They did.
I don't know. That's a catch-22.
They did have certain age restrictions, and then they had some for medical reasons. People didn't have to wear masks, but
Yeah, I think they said ages 2 and up had to wear a mask. But if anybody knows a toddler, I mean, they don't call them the terrible twos for nothing.
Right.
My kids were scared of me. If I look at them and stretch my eyes, even now, my 16-year-old, if I look at her, she's just gonna start crying. I don't even gotta touch her.
Right.
But I don't know.
But I mean, for that, what do you think about the strictness of that with the little girl, and she's messing around with a mask or whatever, taking it off? I mean, do you think that that was worth having them kicked off the flight?
No, I think it's a little over the top.
A little bit over the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can't expect a 2-year-old to keep a mask on. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's look at one more. Let's this is another case of the same thing. All right.
We just got kicked off the flight because our 2-year-old would not put on a mask, and we tried. I mean, I'm gonna put a video on. And they're sending all of our bags and Adeline's car seat.
Oh man. Mouse went off.
We just got kicked off the flight because our 2-year-old would not put on a mask.
Never let her on.
I mean, I'm gonna put a video on. And they're sending all of our bags and Adeline's car seat to New York. And we're banned off of United Forever because a 2-year-old would not put on a mask.
Now, she said they got banned. They got banned from this airline company. Okay, so I don't know really what happened after. I mean, what kind of conversations they may have had with them. But she has the video of what happened while they were on the flight.
Mask.
Some people just like that 15 minutes to stand.
Well, I want to say that.
Oh.
It's did she have? I mean, where was she trapped? We don't know those details, but at the end of the day, I think that the point about a 2-year-old not really complying with things, and you put yourself in that position. I think knowing that that's the rule, okay, and then if there was an alternate way for you to travel, then maybe perhaps you should have did that instead of put yourself in that situation. If you must need to travel. Well, for goodness sakes, we're in a pandemic. Okay. You understand? You got to be smart about things. You just go stepping up on the plane and think that, oh, because my baby is 2 years old, I can get away with it. Mm-hmm. Listen, it should be considered, but the way things are, that was to me not smart for her to take her kids, either of them, on a flight. That's my opinion.
Okay. So now.
That's a good point, sister. We stopped going to restaurants from the time my daughter was 2 until she was 4, just because. So you got a good point.
All right, but
they don't know how to interact in a scenario they don't know how to govern themselves the way a 4-year-old may know. Come on, how they treated them was not right, but the parents need to take responsibility, in my opinion.
If you know that your child doesn't obey you at home, what makes you think she's going to obey you on an airplane?
All right. So y'all made some interesting points, but let's finish it up. Let's see how it went on the plane. All right. So let me see.
Adeline.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're almost ready to go. So please put away your carry-on items, including your large electronic devices like laptops. Feel free to keep using. Why? We're over here holding this mask. I took that opportunity and I ran with it. You see this? I'm literally covering her face. This all the time or what? What? This is compliance. I'm literally holding it over my face. This is compliance right here.
We can't force her. She's literally holding it and she's crying.
And they're traumatizing the kids.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
The child might not be able to breathe. We can't communicate that. I can breathe.
I don't want you to think that I'm upset with you. I'm not upset with you. So stupid how you enforce this so strict. It is. It makes zero sense. There's no compliance. This virus has a 99% survival rate. You know what I mean? Like, if we use our minds, what happens then?
He ain't complying either.
All right. So very interesting issue there. Because is it too strict? Are more and more of our rights being taken? Okay, with the excuse of this virus. Okay, so it's something to really think about. Okay, I can see Brother Nasim's point, and I can see your point also. But it's very interesting. So we have to really, like I said, look at things and understand things. All right. So let's move on. All right. So now here we go. So now we're talking about, it says the COVID-19 vaccine won't be mandatory, but those who don't get it could face restrictions. Okay. Restrictions. All right. So they're saying that it won't be mandatory, but it will be through what you'll be restricted from. Okay. Brother Brian, you wanted to say something?
No, that was me.
Assalamu alaikum. Going back to what we just watched. Yeah, well, my wife wanted this.
Yeah, it's okay.
What I was going to say about the whole agenda is about control and intimidation. So if you're on a plane and you see that the 2-year-old who can control a 2-year-old, if you see that they supposedly they don't comply, and then they get taken off the plane. So that's the whole thing is intimidation to get you to do what it is, whatever they want you to do. So I think that's what that was about.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously, you can't control a 2-year-old. I know that Black people, that we raise our kids different from white people, but still a 2-year-old is some of us, but a 2-year-old is a 2-year-old. You know, if your brain doesn't form until you're 23 completely, how can you expect somebody that's 2 years old to totally comply to what you want them to do? So it's all part of what they're trying to do.
So you're looking at more of they're trying to turn this more so into a police state, basically.
A police state, right? To take away all of your rights, right?
Okay.
That is the goal.
All right. Oh, Sister Saida, you want to say something?
That is the goal. We are being policed. I just pay attention. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Okay. All right. Good. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's move on. We have we're supposed to be checking this out. So I said it won't be mandatory, but those who don't get it could face restrictions. And these restrictions are going to basically make it mandatory for you.
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to go into a store, you won't be able to go to a movie theater, all these, go on a plane, all of this stuff without the vaccine. All right. And that's what they're moving to. All right.
You won't be able to work at certain places.
You won't be able to work, right? Because your employer might want you to have that vaccine. Okay. But now check it out. Here we go.
On the first issue about the anti-vaxxers, I think it's fair to say that there are really two categories of people. One are the people that don't want to receive the vaccine at all, under no circumstances. Are they interested in it? That's their choice. If this is not going to be a mandatory campaign, it will be voluntary. There may be some restrictions that may be placed on people that don't have vaccines for travel purposes, to go to theaters and other places. But that will be up to the individual person to decide whether they want to receive the vaccine to be able to do these things or not.
So this is the mind game that's being
exactly,
because it's like either you get the vaccine or you don't have these things that you're able to do. All right. So there's a real game. So it's not real. It's really mandatory if you want to continue these activities, like work. Who doesn't need to go to work? Okay, and make a living, for their family. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. All right. So now I just want you to hear a little bit. So it was the same thing with the cruise lines. They're talking about that you won't be able to take a cruise without this vaccine. Okay. All right. So here's another guy. I want you to just hear a little bit of what they're saying in these conversations because they bring up interesting points.
You will likely need to get a COVID shot to fly in 2021. Okay. If you don't have a shot, there's a high likelihood you will not be able to get on a flight. Yesterday, the top executives of Australia's largest airline said proof of getting COVID-19 vaccination will be necessary for boarding international flights in the future. I think that's going to be a common thing. Talking to my colleagues in other airlines around the globe, said Alan Joyce, CEO of Qantas, in an interview with Australia's Nine Network, the heads of major U.S. airlines will almost certainly reach the same conclusion. On a call with investors back in April, Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta Airlines, said that he would make whatever changes to the business model that would be necessary, including adopting the so-called immunity passport, if required by the U.S. government. The majority of Americans support a no proof of immunity, no ticket. Let me read that one more time. Majority of Americans strongly support a no proof of immunity, no ticket policy after COVID-19 vaccination. Largest airline said proof. I think that's going to be a common thing. Talking to my colleagues in other airlines around the globe, said Alan Joyce, CEO of Qantas, in an interview with Australia's Nine Network, the heads of major U.S. airlines will almost certainly reached the same conclusion. On a call with investors back in April, Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta Airlines, said that he would make whatever changes to the business model that would be necessary, including adopting the so-called immunity passport, if required by the U.S. government. The majority of Americans support a no proof of immunity, no ticket. Let me read that one more time. Majority of Americans strongly support a no proof of immunity, no ticket policy after COVID-19 vaccinations are widely available to the public. 2/3 say that once vaccinations are rolled out, airline passengers should be required to show proof of vaccination in order to fly, according to the latest Harris Poll COVID-19 tracking survey. What do you think about that?
Welcome to more of your freedoms being taken away. I mean, there's going to be people that don't want to take the vaccination. You're not allowed to fly. You're not allowed to travel. I agree with international travel. If you're going to Australia on Qantas, you probably have to show that you have, you're negative, you just took a test, or that you have been vaccinated or nothing. But it's no way the domestic airlines can do that, can legislate that on a daily basis here in the U.S. No way. I don't like it.
Or is this
well,
for
it's
domestic?
starting with international.
They're saying that they wanted to get to a point where it's also travel, period. Okay, domestically,
Pat,
not just internationally.
When the Delta CEO said he's willing to adjust his business plan model, that means raise prices
Well,
on
guys,
flights.
what do you think? What do you think of you? What are you going to do? You can't fly if you don't have a vaccine. What do you do?
I don't know how they're going to implement that like so quickly.
What are you going to? What'd you say? You're getting your own plane, but really, what do you do?
I like how Sam thinks.
Hang on one second. What'd you say? That's exception. That's exception to the rule.
So you can get a doctor's note, you can still fly.
They're saying there's two exceptions. One is that, and the other one is a religious exception that you have. But the flight
how
can
many
still.
people are going to be?
Now, they are trying to get rid of those two exemptions. All right, they're trying to get rid of that religious exemption for vaccines. Okay, so what will you do when it comes to the point where you can't go to work or you can't go in the store or anything without the vaccine? What are you going to do? Because we looked at last week at some of the side effects and some of the history dealing with vaccines and how, some of these people can't be trusted. What do you do?
Good question.
Somebody said,
you better learn how to grow your own food.
Well, see, that's the thing.
I told y'all last week we got to start a commune. We got to get some land and start.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something.
All right, so it's this stuff is becoming very, very serious, and we are too entertained with other things that we're not paying attention. And that's what the word entertainment means. It means to keep you distracted. Keep you distracted from important things that's going on. Okay? Like the men, we get caught up in sports, and we got to see our sports. And then we have the ladies that love the soap operas and the other shows, and so it's a lot of things that take us away and distract us from what's really happening in plain sight. This is going on right in front of our faces, and we're not paying attention. All right. So I'm gonna come away from here a little bit, and I'm gonna show you. This is the other idea that they came up with, where you will be issued the vaccination card.
And Kelly Taylor standing by this morning with some breaking news from the 5 Alert Desk.
So, Joe, that breaking news is a first look at the COVID-19 vaccination record card you'll get once you get a shot. This is what it looks like here. The Department of Defense released that first image yesterday, along with an image of vaccination kits, which include a card, a needle, syringe, alcohol wipes, and a mask. Health officials say everyone will be issued a written card they can put in their wallet, and that tells them what shot they had and when their next dose is due. Vaccination clinics will also report to their...
Oh my God, this keeps doing this to me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What did we do, like when you were a kid and you had to be vaccinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all went and got the vaccinations, right?
Restrictions.
What restrictions were there then?
Right.
Okay. Now the other thing is you got healthcare workers who it's mandatory for them to have a flu shot, okay, in order for them to work.
Right.
Okay. That's not an option if I'm going to continue in the healthcare field. But here's the thing with, the people, like, I don't like to say there's a black and white thing, but it is a black and white thing because you already said that you can't trust the people that say that they're going to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. So how do I know Dr. Fauci got the what vaccine he got, if he got the vaccine?
Right.
Okay. And the other thing is, if they're going to restrict me from traveling, well, if I'm a marginalized person anyway, well, how far am I traveling anyway? Am I going international? You understand what I'm saying?
Well, check this out. We're getting ready to come to a point in the presentation where I'm going to try to show you what this is really about. And like you said, we as African American people are marginalized. Our ancestors from Africa, the Africans are marginalized. Okay, any poor whites are marginalized. Okay, so but I want you to see what this is leading to. But right now, what Brother Brian said and what Brother Nassim said is very interesting when they talked about police state. Okay, but watch this. So they're talking about now you getting this card once you get vaccinated, and you would have to show this card as proof of your vaccination. All right, and that was very similar to this. And this is from the movie Casablanca. All right, and this is with Humphrey Bogart, old movie, but check this scene out. This is dealing with the Nazis.
Now putting a national ID card together, and they want checkpoints.
We will be carrying our papers, and they have recommended there'll be checkpoints throughout the country.
Didn't Nazi Germany do that? Everybody in America was against. Papers, please. May I see your papers?
May I see your papers? I don't think I have them on me. In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along. Wait, it's possible that, yes. Here we are.
These papers expired 3 weeks ago. You have to come
along. But it sounds like the same type of thing. You need your papers. Wait, say it again, sister.
I kind of feel like, well, not even feel like, I think that in every situation, things can go to the extreme. We do have to be wise about what we're doing, and we do have to collect knowledge, and we have to get knowledge from where we can trust people giving us facts. And okay, so the CDC is a place where supposedly you can get factual information from. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have to be around other people that think like you, that get facts too. That's just like when you work in the insurance industry, if you don't work in the insurance industry, when you go to make a claim for your house, say like, you don't know the jargon, you don't know the language. So you 9 times out of 10, you need somebody to represent you because they know the language. So when people don't know the language, and my mother's told me this time and time again, you got to make sure you know when you say the word, it's particular words that we use that mean different things for different cultures. You know that, okay? Or we tend to have a play on words that a lot of times what it means to you and I as an African American culture doesn't mean the same thing to somebody else in a Jewish culture or a Italian culture. You understand what I'm saying? So the words that we deal with a lot of times get us to a point where we are extreme and not understanding, but we can't really seem to find that balance that we need to have, because this is all really about balance. Yes, there is control, there is checkpoints, there's this. The movies that we do entertain ourselves with, they're telling us a whole lot of stuff in the message right there. If you're paying attention, this is 2020. 2020 means clear vision. When you go to the eye doctor and you get 2020 in both eyes, what does that mean? You don't need glasses, right?
Well, it's according, because I mean, yeah, I see.
Yes or no?
No, I see your point with that. But what I'm saying is that some people out here don't have clear vision.
So
and
you and I,
they can't
as the
see.
marginalized ones, need to be able to attract that
differentiate
that person that's not going to really seek out the knowledge somehow, so we can all get that knowledge and understanding. There's going to be people that don't want to know anyway, but those of us who do want to know, because we are taking responsibility for ourselves and not relying on the information only at hand that we're given, because we want to know for ourselves so we can have the right balance, how to approach situations, how to take care of ourselves, how to research.
That's very, very important. All that you said is very important, and you're on point with that. And the thing is that we have to research and we have to see what has happened in the past. Okay. The thing is that these people are putting certain things in place, and they use movies and all kinds of things. And sometimes there's a lot of information in some of these movies that they put out, and you can actually see, where this thing is headed. Okay, but let me continue a little bit.
movie teach you how to lie, steal, cheat.
Yeah, they sure do. But this is from William Cooper. He was the guy that wrote the book Behold a Pale Horse. All right, from 1989. All right, but this is what he said.
I believe with all I believe with all my heart that God put me in places and in positions throughout my life so that I would be able to deliver this warning to his people. I pray that I have been worthy and that I have done my job. They were told that the only things that could stop these predicted events would be severe cutbacks of the human population, the cessation or retardation of technological and economic growth, the elimination of meat in the human diet, strict control of future human reproduction, a total commitment to preserving the environment, colonization of space, and a paradigm shift in the evolutionary consciousness of man. Those in power immediately formed an alliance and set about bringing the recommended changes to fruition through propaganda, mind control, and other manipulations of the masses. What was this event that caused so much consternation and changed forever the future of the world? It was the great worldwide baby boom. It was the point in history when the birth rate so exceeded the death rate that the world's population doubled between 1957 and 1990. Studies were done to determine a method to arrest the population explosion before the point of no return would be reached. The first was to lower the birth rate, and the second was to increase the death rate. Neither did they relish the possible consequences of an enraged public upon discovering that they were being systematically murdered, and placed the blame on those who did not lead clean lives. Something that could be blamed upon Mother Nature revealed that they intended to produce a synthetic biological agent, an agent that does not naturally exist and for which no natural immunity could have been acquired. Within the next 5 to 10 years, it would probably be possible to make a new infective microorganism which could differ in certain important aspects from any known disease-causing organism. Complete control of individual behavior may be established using electronic or chemical implants. Disregard this warning and you will find yourself in a concentration camp. In the camp, you will be treated for a mental illness called nationalism, common to patriots. This illness is not in the interest of the New World Order. This plan is well underway and so far is working perfectly. The middle class is begging the government to do away with the Second Amendment. We will be slaves shackled to a cashless system of economic control. Full disclosure to the public should be made, and we should proceed to save the human race together.
So he talked about population control. And we've shown in previous presentations that this is what the elite wants. They want to lower population.
Yes.
Okay.
The Malthusans, yep.
Go ahead. What you say, Sister Saida?
The Malthusans that believe that the earth is overpopulated.
Right. But it goes back. I'm going to show you something in a second. But it was even before that. Okay. This philosophy from the elite has been around for a very, very long time, and it's like everything that God, God puts forth for us to follow, all His laws and commandments. These people want to do the opposite. Okay, they're trying to push us in the opposite direction. One of the examples that I give is when they had that show Scandal. All right, God tells us to not commit adultery. But here in that show, it was an adulteress that was the hero.
That's right.
Okay. So these ideas are being programmed into us. And a lot of people, they think they know the system, but they really don't. Okay. Because there's a lot that's going on. All right. So let me share with you this. This was a lady, this was from the show Conspiracy Theory. And she talked about something called the Great Culling. Does anybody know what a culling is?
Yes.
Okay. Sister Idea, you want to share with us what a culling is?
Like if you cull the herd, you're
Right.
getting rid of the sick or the weak, and you're purging.
Right.
You're purging.
You're purging. You're getting rid of population. All right. And this is what this stuff is really about. Okay. We showed you how Bill Gates is a eugenicist, and his father was a eugenicist, and all he's doing is following in his father's footsteps. Okay, but here we go. Let's listen to this where she talks about the culling. All right.
Track down the deadly secret behind the elite group that tries to rule the world. When the population gets too big to handle, the solution is cut it down.
There's an entire agenda afoot to force the population to undergo different type of medical treatments, namely vaccines. We're seeing a medical tyranny being set up, not just in the United States, but worldwide under the UN and the World Health Organization.
Who's behind all this?
The Bilderberg Group. They want a planetary dictatorship so they can carry out their forced depopulation agenda, and they want to do it through the medical system. And that's why vaccines are so important. We know that many of these vaccines turn out to have serious adverse reactions. And this is being done by design. They kill you slowly over time. That's why they're called soft kill. You got an insider I think you should really talk to, Dr. Rima Labo. But she doesn't live inside the United States because she's so concerned about all the police state developments that are taking place. But if you can get her to come up here and talk to you, she's a medical doctor, she's treated heads of states, and she really understands what's happening on the inside.
As soon as you and I finish,
You're out
I'm
here.
leaving the country again. Why? Because in a very short time, not today, not tomorrow, but very soon, we'll be facing compulsory vaccination under the mistaken term of voluntary vaccination.
Now, she said this in 2003.
What?
All right. But now check it out, because you got to hear the rest of what she's saying. But one thing I want to add is that, people who deny this stuff, you got to think about it. In Africa, they were lacing their tetanus shots with their tetanus vaccine with sterilization chemicals. Okay, and they found them doing this. Okay.
Now, what is it about these vaccinations? You think that they're bad?
Well, first of all, let's start with the fact that the World Health Organization has decided that we have 90% too many people. The World Health Organization has been working since 1974 on vaccines to create permanent sterility. To make matters worse, we know that the vaccines that were illegally approved by the FDA contain a substance called squalene.
Squalene, an organic compound used in vaccines to stimulate the immune system and increase the response.
If I inject you with squalene, your immune system will attack the squalene, but then it starts attacking all of the parts of your body. What does that look like when you meet a person to whom that is happening? It looks like Gulf War syndrome. It looks like every joint in the body swollen and intolerably painful and immobilized.
This is in these shots they're going to give us?
It's in some of them, but the U.S. government has a trick up their sleeve.
Which is?
They will induce a pandemic. Then the United States government, based on their statements that they've already made, will say, oh my, we have a pandemic. Oh my goodness, we don't have enough doses. So we'll admix squalene at the 90,000 injection stations that the Department of Health and Human Services announced that they will ship the vaccines to. Men and women will sicken and die, and those who survive will be infertile.
If people start dying massively from these inoculations, won't there be like a revolution, a rebellion, a rising up from the peasants?
Briefly, until the 420,000 U.S. military swing into action. If you remember, NORTHCOM, the Northern Command, was created not long ago to, among other things, relocate the population in the event of civil disorder or pandemics.
Doctor, what you're saying is that if people refuse these vaccinations, that FEMA's going to put them into almost like concentration camps around the country?
I think you have to leave out the word almost. Let me tell you a story.
In the Walmart.
2003, I had a patient in my drug-free medical practice who was a head of state. And one day she said, it's almost time for the great culling to begin.
The what?
That's what I said. The what? She said the great culling, C-U-L-L-I-N-G, when you thin the herd. I said, what are you talking about? She said, it's almost time for the useless eaters to be culled. And she said, those are the people who are consuming our non-renewable natural resources. I said, who are the people who make this decision? She said, we, the aristocrats,
this person you talk to, you're bound because you're a physician and
Correct.
there's the relationship that you can't talk. Is this person a member of the Bilderbergs?
She is not Queen Beatrice. She is not the Queen of England. She is not Henry Kissinger. But she certainly presented herself as a member of that power elite, and she certainly was a head of state. According to what I was told by this woman, there's a council of 7 men, and they make long-term decisions about what they want to see happen, which country rises, which country falls, which economies prosper. And it's really important to understand that these people have no affiliation to a religion, no affiliation to a nation, no affiliation to a political party.
They're rogues.
They are acting according to their own rules, and their rules are not the ones that the institutions we believe in adhere to.
How powerful are the Bilderbergs or the people above them in the world?
Not as powerful as we, the people, in the aggregate are. When we raise our voices, every single time they step back. The problem is, the dirty little secret is that we have that power. They don't want us to know that we have that power.
Her warning delivered. Dr. Labo heads back to her hideaway in the mountains of Panama. Her message is clear. It's up to everyone else to decide what to do with her information.
So what did you think about what she was saying? Bryant, you trying to say something?
No, I didn't, but it's interesting to hear that. You always thought about the 1% that controls everything, and it's like, to me, they don't have borders.
Mm.
They don't have. It's like a borderless organization. You know, it's not. They're not limited to France or England or United States. You know, these guys want to try to control everything.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these people are in what they call secret societies. And,
right.
You know, they're into Satan worship.
Yeah.
But now, Sister Saida said something about that philosophy that the elite has, that Malthusian. But I said it started even before him. So this is a very, very old philosophy. All right. But here we go. Look. This is back from the Trojan War. We're going back to Greek myths here. Right. So it says, according to Greek mythology, Zeus had become king of the gods by overthrowing his father Cronus. Cronus, in turn, had overthrown his father Uranus. Zeus was not faithful to his wife and sister Hera and had many relationships from which many children were born. Since Zeus believed that there were too many people populating the earth, he envisioned Momus or Themis, who was to use the Trojan War as a means to depopulate the earth, especially of his demigod descendants. So this is an old philosophy. Okay, this is an old belief. This is an old thing that goes back to getting rid of population.
Right.
Okay? But they wanted to use the Trojan War in order to get rid of population. And that's sometimes why wars are fought, to get rid of population. Okay. Now we heard last time, about 2 weeks ago, how Bill Gates talked about vaccines was a way of getting rid of population. Okay. So it is very interesting that this is what they're talking about. And this lady, you know, back in 2003, this is something that she expressed. All right. But now I want you to see this, because now we're going to start getting a little heavy here. All right. This is ethnic minorities more at risk from COVID, report finds. Okay.
Had a COVID here, and then suddenly he was gone. And, you know, like, I don't think anyone can describe that feeling of loss.
University student Munadir lost her 80-year-old grandfather Shomas to the virus. He was one of 11 members of the same family who live in the Tower Hamlets area of East London to be infected. She is scared but not surprised. Families like hers, living in multi-generational homes, are more at risk than others.
welfare inequality, social inequality has been present for a long time. So this is just the repercussion of an issue that's been pertaining to our communities for a very, very long time.
Munadir's belief is borne out by a study of more than 18 million patients in the UK and America. It shows that people of Asian ethnicity are 1.5 times more likely to be infected. Those of black ethnicity are twice as likely to contract the virus as a white person, and Asians are also twice as likely as white or black patients to be admitted to intensive care. The report's author says when a vaccine's ready, this new information will help identify priority groups.
Our findings today are important and they will need to play into a discussion. But the decision about allocating vaccine and probably be a limited resource in the initial phases, it needs to be very carefully thought through.
It's more than scary. It's terrifying.
Comrade Dalfinis is an Uber driver. He's also black. He accepts the risk to his health is greater, but says he has little choice.
Now, early on during the pandemic, it was like, oh, black people weren't even contracting the illness. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Like it took a long time for them to start talking about, black people getting COVID.
I don't believe that. I think that's just an excuse to get us to take that.
Yeah, okay. Right. But now hold that thought, bro, because we're going to go through this a little bit more, because now they just talked about ethnic minorities being more susceptible to it. And blacks were 2 times more susceptible to it. Okay?
I've got to do it because I've got bills to pay. I've got the things to do. Even right now, my mortgage and things, I've got to sort that out right now. It's not to sort out the mortgage. I've had to sell my property.
Despite losing friends to the virus, Conrad is working on in hope that there will be a vaccine and that he will be near the front of the queue. Paul Davis, News at 10.
And I like where you were going with that, Brother Brian. But now watch this, all right? I want you to see this. It says, state to show racial ethnic breakdown of COVID-19 cases this week. And this was in April, all right? But now watch.
Early information across the country shows COVID-19 is more deadly for African Americans than any other racial group. WJC's Live, Paul Gusser explains why experts say releasing race and ethnic data is critical. Paul.
The governor's office says that information will be made available later this week, but state officials and researchers wanted that information by now to know how it's affecting Maryland. Governor Hogan's executive order Tuesday calls for state health officials this week to provide race and ethnic breakdowns of COVID-19 data.
The data helps you develop your strategy and your plan to engage, to treat, and to test.
Delegate Nick Mosby and dozens of colleagues in the General Assembly wrote the governor this week to release that data and more so a plan can be better developed. This as the city awaits on testing kits for their Pimlico testing site.
Not just the racial breakdown, but also more importantly, more granular as relates to zip code or census tract.
Zip code is a pretty broad geographic area, so it's helpful in some ways.
Dr. Lisa Cooper studies public health equity for Johns Hopkins. She says what we know right now is enough cause for concern.
Social inequities are definitely playing a role in this pandemic.
Detroit bus driver Jason Hargrove died from the virus days after complaining about a woman coughing openly on his bus.
Man, y'all need to take this serious. It's folks dying.
Early numbers in the Midwest show a trend. African Americans account for 41% of Michigan COVID-19 deaths and make up only 14% of residents. In Chicago, 72% of deaths and less than a third of the population. Dr. Anthony Fauci Tuesday addressed why that might be.
It's not that they're getting infected more often, it's that when they do get infected, their underlying medical conditions, those are the kind of things that wind them up in the ICU and ultimately give them a higher death rate.
So now, the marginalized people, if you want to get rid of population, who are you going to get rid of first?
Look, when
Sound like
all,
a flex to me.
yeah, when all this showed up, the governor of Georgia shut down his state like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The like maybe a week after they announced that African Americans were catching it at an alarming rate,
Mm-hmm.
he demanded that the state of Georgia be opened back up. The mayor of Atlanta and him went through a whole thing where he actually tried to take her to court before dropping what he was trying to sue her for. So, I mean, it's clear that they trying to exterminate Black people, but I still have a hard time believing that we're catching it at an alarming rate like they say we are. But I'm telling you from my own personal experience, and I have family that's white. My husband is white. You know, we Muslim, but he's a white convert. I know more white people who have contracted this COVID, and that just might be my own personal experience, this COVID virus, than I know African Americans. My family is huge. And and Sister D could tell you, I have a lot of friends, and I also work in the political field. So I know way more people who are European American who have contracted this than African Americans. So I'm personally having a hard time believing it.
So let me say this. Remember that the media controls your perception. Okay? They try to control our perception. We had that lady sit here and admit it on television that it was their job to tell us what to think. Right? Remember that?
Yep. Yeah,
right?
I remember.
But now, I remember. Yeah, but now watch this. Now watch.
Well, before you go on, I think we should take note of the fact that a great number of individuals in the president's circle ended up developing COVID-19. And there are also a tremendous number of members of his audience when he would have these huge rallies. We don't really tend to hear a lot about those numbers. We do hear information stating that there's been an outbreak in an area where he had a rally. But it would be interesting to hear the number of people who've been affected and the number of people who've passed and what their rates of some of the diseases that are associated with African Americans, what those rates are in those individuals, because they don't look like the healthiest group of people very often, lots of overweight people, etc.
But then again, I would also like to add that you have to be careful in terms of who the media says got it, because remember from last week when we talked about Mary Tyler Moore and how the CDC
Mary Tyler Moore
said that she had gotten the swine flu vaccine,
and she didn't. Right.
Okay, so we have to be very careful because there's always an agenda when they try to put somebody in front of us. We saw them actually taking fake syringes and acting like they were giving people vaccines last week. So it's very important that we pay attention. All right. And like I said, we have to be very careful with the media because their job is to control your perception. All right. But now I want to show you this. All right. And this is something I showed a while ago before, but I think with this information, I think it's time to revisit it. And this is something called NSSM 200. All right. And this deals with Kissinger and Nixon. And I want you to hear this because this is so important for those people who doubt what's going on.
I really like these knobs. They have so much character.
Yes, NSSM 200 is an overpopulation as a threat to national security. Okay, they saw overpopulation as a threat to national security.
NSSM 200 was written up by the National Security Council, the highest decision-making body on foreign policy in the United States, to establish official population policy for our country. It was a classified document written in 1974. It was only declassified in 1989. So people didn't know about it until just a few years ago, 16, 17 years ago.
Population was always one of these phantoms that lurked, kind of hovered in the rafters over a lot of policy deliberations. Oh my God, the rest of the world, which is mostly non-white, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What are we going to do about this?
It sounds racist.
it's racist, but it was never, it was implicitly racist, but it was explicitly cast in terms of the stability of these societies.
Says Nixon ordered NSSM 200 be conducted in July of 1974. Later that same year, Hollywood released its version of the population bomb. All right, so here we go. What did Hollywood? What movie did Hollywood come out with? Soylent Green.
Soylent Green, people eating people. Soylent Green was about an extremely crowded world that was running out of food resources, and the people were consuming this particular product called Soylent Green.
Tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Soylent Green is people!
Now, they pushed Soylent Green back then in 1974. What movie are they pushing now about population control?
Immunization.
No. What movie? What movie are they using to push population control? All right. The movie that they're using now is called The Avengers. If you think you think about the main enemy in Avengers, it was Thanos.
That big crazy looking.
Right. So Thanos, his objective was to rid the universe. He was saying that the universe was too overpopulated and he needed to get rid of people in the universe. All right. So Hollywood pushes these films to kind of push these ideas. Okay. But check it out. Here we go. Let's continue.
We gotta stop them.
We see Africa as a threat because in 30 to 40 years, the average African will be 31 years old. The average European will be 52 years old. The average American will be 45 years old. And so what we have here is a very young and vigorous continent with lots of natural resources. And the United States sees this as a direct and proximate threat to our world domination in the future.
So why do you think AIDS appeared? All right, it was to carry out this agenda of population control and to getting rid of Africans. This is from the NSSM manual. Abortion. No country ever reduced its population without resorting to abortion. And that's why they push abortion heavily, especially in the Black community. We talked about Margaret Sanger, who was she created something called the Negro Project. The Negro Project later turned into what? Planned Parenthood. Right. And Margaret Sanger was a person who said, she was quoted as saying that blacks were human weeds and we were people that should have never even been born. All right. But she was also into getting rid of whites that she felt was unproductive. Okay.
The following is conversation 9-19.
Those that vote for abortion will vote for it because they think the but's going to be aborted. Generally, here's the little black bastards.
This is Nixon talking. He said those that vote for abortion will vote for it because they think that what's going to be aborted generally are the little black bastards. This was our presidents who were taught in school that they were such great people. Okay.
Well, I'm surprised by Nixon talking about the legalization of abortion in such clinical terms and such political terms, because I always thought that he was pro-life and against abortion. So it shows you that even presidents of the United States can put on one public face, and on the other hand, behind the scenes, they've been agitating towards something that's entirely opposite to what they say in public.
Nixon referred to aborted black fetuses as, quote, the little black bastards. Surprised?
No.
That's the way he thought.
I think it's fair to say that and I don't know the subsequent American politicians as well as these two, but I think both Johnson and Nixon. Johnson once, when I was in his office, called up Nick Katzenbach, the undersecretary. He'd just seen a TV thing about starving babies in Biafra. And he called him up and he said, Nick, we got to do more to get these little starving nigger babies off my TV screen.
And the way they portray Africa is so bad that you can see it in our children, because a lot of times our children, some of the children at my school, they reject the thought of Africa. They think that, it's people running around with spears and all of this kind of stuff to this day. So it's very interesting of how, when you allow somebody to control the education of your children, what happens, what kind of thoughts they develop. All right.
Now, it's just part of this. It's part of this depersonalization. It's part of this dehumanization, really, of which is intrinsic to racism. They're different than we are. And so therefore you can make the arguments about inferiority, and they behave differently, and isn't it too bad? And it's what I said earlier about racism being inseparable from the way American politicians see the world or see themselves.
Let me just indicate that in 1975, we had one sterilization service site for every 23,000 married couples of reproductive age. At the end of this calendar year, 1978, that is going to be changed to one for every 5,300. In other words, the task has just about been completed, and to provide easy access to sterilization services throughout the country.
Oh. So increase arm sales to Black Africa. And on a small scale, that's something that's being done here.
Right.
Our youth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Having our youth kill each other. Okay.
In a candy store and get a gun.
Yep. Yeah, I saw a gun store the other day. I forgot where I saw it though. It was in the Black neighborhood.
There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
They are an undisciplined, ragtag army, many little more than boys.
Gangs of armed thugs have hampered relief efforts to such a degree that the U.S. has been forced to change its mind.
Pitted against Taylor is a West African peacekeeping force which supports the government and is funded in part with American money.
And you see these kids fighting, 12, 13, 14-year-old children in rags, but with sophisticated, expensive arms. It never occurs to Americans to ask what they're not told in the news report. Where do these weapons come from?
And that's the same thing in our communities. Where are these weapons coming from? How are these kids getting their hands on these guns? Okay. So it's all a part of a way to reduce population, especially the marginalized people of the earth. All right.
When the tribes objected and the companies lost money, Bismarck sent an imperial commissioner. His first job was to persuade the African chiefs to accept the so-called protection of Germany. The commissioner was named Goering, and his son would one day become notorious as the #2 man in the Nazi Reich. The technique of persuasion was simple. When two tribes were hostile to each other, both would be offered military support.
Did you hear that? When two tribes were hostile towards each other, both of them was given military support so that they could wipe each other out.
Chill out.
Wow.
As the governor put it, German policy was to influence the natives to kill each other for us.
So you saw that last. The CIA maintains prepackaged stocks of foreign-made weapons for instant shipment anywhere in the world.
These are the weapons largely sold by American suppliers.
From 1998 to 2001, the USA, the UK, and France earned more income from arms sales to developing countries than they gave in aid.
I said, assisted genocide. We can no longer go into a country and take it over with guns and bombs and tanks and planes. That would be condemned by the world. But instead, we allow the people to kill themselves. And this is why I call it assisted genocide or assisted self-genocide. It's like assisted suicide. You can't kill a person directly, but you assist them in killing themselves.
So isn't that exactly what's happening in the Black community?
Yeah, it's like when they put crack in the Black community.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have here from a government document stating that this is what they were doing. But some of us are still in denial.
Still sleeping.
We're doing this on a vast scale to entire countries and continents today.
Why did we increase arms sales to Black Africa?
You know, at any given moment, although arms sales, you would think, fall into a kind of moral and ethical and strategic category. At any given moment, it's the result of a myriad of motives. I mean, it's certainly commercial. You are looking to influence the military in these given societies, and you pointed out earlier what happened in most of these cultures was that the intellectual elite, at one time or another, was butchered, was eliminated.
How many of you seen the movie Hotel Rwanda?
Yeah, I did.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that, Rashid.
Yeah.
We had 1 million people killed within a matter of 2 or 3 months.
Right.
In one country, the Tutsi against the Hutsi, something like that. Yep. 1 million people. And people forget about that. That wasn't that long ago.
No, not at all.
Nobody mentions it.
All they did was measure the size of your nose to width to determine who you were.
Yeah.
But to create division.
Right.
I mean, you think about with Islam, how you have the division with the Shiites and the Sunnis, and they create these divisions amongst the people. This is all of Shaitan's or Satan's plan to divide people, divide and conquer.
When they Rashid, when they had the Berlin Conference in 1892, when they divided Africa up into colonies, they purposely drew the boundaries,
right?
So the people would be against each other. They would pit the two people that were centuries old enemies. They would put them in one country, and they knew that they didn't have to worry about them because they would be fighting each other,
exactly,
forever. So you really didn't have to worry about them. They would never unite. They would never unite and fight against the colonialists.
Right. Now what I want to show you, because I'm gonna move, because that piece is about 19 minutes long. All right. I want to go get to some other stuff before we run out of time. So now check this out. It says biological weapons soon to target racial genome.
Human Genome Project is a worldwide collaboration of scientists who are aiming to map where the different genes are within the human chromosomes, what they actually do, what they code for, what they produce as an effect within the body of each of us as individuals. The Human Genetic Diversity Project is trying to collect information on the similarities and differences in different ethnic groups. They are therefore producing information about the different spread of normal genes in different populations.
Scientists collaborating on the Genetic Diversity Project have already identified a genetic marker present in the DNA of Palestinians, but not in the DNA of Israelis.
It says it's just a coincidence that the first people for this technology to be tested on are Palestinians, all right? But check this out, because you got to see where they're going at with this, all right?
One individual genetic marker wouldn't accurately identify an ethnic group, but a combination could.
If you add together a number of different markers for different populations, you can start to become relatively specific. So, for example, the way in which we handle milk lactose is different between the Asian and European populations. If you then add in blood groups, ABO blood groups, very different distributions. If you also add in height, skin colour, and so on, you start to be able to become specific to your target population.
Once all these genetic markers have been identified, a virus could be designed to look for them on entering the body. It would scan the DNA of cells, looking for the markers. If it finds them, it inserts itself into the host DNA and starts the process of infection. In this way, the virus would be targeted to attack only people who have the right genetic markers.
So they're saying that they could design a virus that would only attack certain people.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that it looks for the melanin cell, and then because that's like that's what do you call it? Not a protein.
Right. Well, this yeah, what they're talking about here is different markers that identify or differentiate different people. They could make a virus that would only attack those people that had certain markers. So
it's the hormone. That's what they were saying. Like the melanin cell and like the specific hormone that is produced when you have from your melanin. It it's like we all call vitamin D like a vitamin. We call D a vitamin, but really it's a hormone.
Right.
So supposedly it attacks that and attaches itself to that. So that's what they were saying. That's why it's supposedly targeted toward African Americans or Africans and African Americans.
Mm-hmm. So these are what they would call ethnic weapons, and this is what they have: ethnic weapons. So let's finish listening to what she's saying.
The British Medical Association believe that in the next 10 years,
the midnight sun.
might be created that could
I think it's
a biological agent that could successfully wipe out entire groups in society. The world's first ethnic weapon.
A hormone. The people who get more daylight. What are the statistics about their health condition and what is COVID?
An organism that could target specific people would mark the coming of age of biological weapons. For the first time, there would be no risk of infection to the aggressor. More useful than a nuclear bomb, it would leave land, buildings, and your own troops untouched. And as the proliferation of nuclear technology has shown, once the knowledge is available, it is almost impossible to contain.
So we're talking about ethnic weapons, weapons that will attack only a certain people. Okay, so this is something that's devious. Okay, but now check it out. Watch, hear what he says here.
In his neighborhood, they had no idea what he was up to, that he was working with the South African Germ Warfare Program. Larry Ford was messing around with chemical biological warfare.
Larry was a wonderful fellow, mad as a hatter. He used to rock up in South Africa, having flown intercontinental flights with a trousers pocket full of goodies in sealed vials that he claimed were new and wonderful organisms and could do the most wonderful things on Earth.
Larry Ford had mutated cholera, typhoid, anthrax, botulism, bubonic plague, and had also come up with germs that he called kaffir-killing germs. Kaffir, as you may know, in Afrikaans, is the equivalent of the N-word. So these were germs that were specifically engineered to kill only black people.
In other words, an ethnic biological weapon. Had Project Coast really gone this far?
From the beginning, this idea of can we find a way to control the size of the black population was considered one of the most important areas of research. It got even more important over time as the size of the black population and the seriousness of the uprisings increased. So that's one reason why they got into genetic modification, research into is there a way to have contraceptives that could somehow basically sterilize blacks without them knowing it.
This stuff is right in front of our faces. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and kind of all kinds of what at the time or in hindsight seemed like pretty far out research.
There was some talk about an ethnic weapon Project Coast working on. It was called Black Bomb.
That was great. Yeah, that was the most fun I've had in my life. That whole episode of the ethnic weapon was very well set out in the court papers. What happened is we had the objective to synthesize a certain protein that was in sperm for contraceptive purposes. The objective was that if you could immunize a woman against sperm, then you would make her infertile.
If you can immunize a woman against sperm.
Wow.
Okay, but this is what but see, as I told you all before, this is not man's plan. This is Shaitan or Satan's plan. And he whispers these ideas and these things into the minds of these people, and they go with it. Okay, but here they are talking about developing things to kill or get rid of black people.
We were asked to do this by another country who had a population explosion problem as part of the exchange of technology. They were giving us other stuff. They asked about, we haven't got the time or the place to do that. Will you guys do that?
And see, Allah tells us in the Quran, it says, there are some people who will not believe, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you show them. Okay? They're going. All right? But now we have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to pop on one more. I'll see if I can get a couple more in. All right? So here we go. This was in 2012, where they were talking about how the U.S. was devising race-specific bioweapons. Here we go.
Geneva Convention in at least 4 cases just on depleted uranium alone. And as Mr. Duff pointed out, tactical nuclear weapons were used, at least one in Iraq, and several were used in Afghanistan in the Tora Bora Mountains, which actually created an earthquake at the time. And you've got to look at the history. Who's responsible? Well, in America, the ultimate commander-in-chief is the president. He has to give the final signatory to all weapons that are used. But historically, a lot of the chemical and biological warfare started off in Rhodesia. And when the regime went from white to black, Maggie Thatcher panicked and decided to move the whole shebangle and the staff all the way down to South Africa, where that research and development was continued. They even developed a black-only bomb that targeted the Afro gene. And there's even talk now there may be one for the Chinese gene. You know, this is absolute
Okay, so this stuff is being said. You know, they're they're talking about admitted ethnic weapons that were used to kill blacks. Okay, but now here is talking about the sterilization drugs and the tetanus shot in Africa.
Vaccines are now being spiked with a sterilization chemical. This is the report from LifeSite News based on a doctor out of Kenya who noticed that this so-called tetanus vaccination campaign was being given only to young women of childbearing age, and that it included 5 doses of tetanus over more than 2 years, which is not what tetanus normally requires. So they had the samples sent off to a lab in South Africa, and it turns out that the samples of this vaccine, which is provided by the United Nations and the World Health Organization, contained HCG, a chemical designed for population reduction. What this chemical does is it causes a woman's body to form antibodies that attack and kill the mother's own baby. This is a chemical that turns a mother's body into a killer of her own unborn child.
I mean, do y'all? I mean, do you hear the stuff that they're talking about? I mean, it's crazy.
It's extreme.
But it's very, very wicked. Very,
oh
very wicked.
gosh.
Where it would make the mother's womb attack its child.
Miscarriages are, there's a large number of miscarriages.
Oh, go ahead, sister. Go ahead, sister.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so there are a large number of miscarriages now, much more now than there ever were before. I don't know if that's because it's more populated, or again, if that's by design. But a lot of women much more women experience miscarriages at high rates, more so than in the past.
Wow.
Sterilization lasting several years. So this report is out of lifesitenews.com. And my name is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, reporting for naturalnews.com. And this story was just so shocking. It struck me as such a violation of human dignity, a violation of women's rights, a violation of motherhood, a violation of everything that humanity and life stands for, that I just had to comment on this because it is so outrageous. And let me get you some of the quotes from Dr. Mohamed Ngare of the Mercy Medical Center in Nairobi. He went on the record telling LifeSite News, quote, "We sent 6 samples from around Kenya to laboratories in South Africa. They were all laced with HCG, every one of them." He said, he concluded that this World Health Organization campaign is not about eradicating neonatal tetanus, but it is a well-coordinated, forceful population control mass sterilization exercise using a proven...
And these are all agencies that we are taught to trust. The World Health Organization, the CDC, you know, it's crazy. And that's what I'm saying. We have to be very careful of what, you know, of who we accept this information and stuff from. You know, these people that are trying to guide our lives.
Fertility regulating vaccine. Now that phrase, fertility regulating vaccine, that's code that the vaccine industry uses to describe what is really a population reduction, population control chemical. They use vaccines as a vector to introduce a chemical weapon into the bodies of victims like these Kenyan women. Up to 2.3 million women in Kenya are being injected with this vaccine. And it is a weapon. It's a weapon designed to cause death and to inhibit the formation of life in women. It is one of the most heinous examples of the pure evil of the vaccine industry and the World Health Organization, and how they use the excuse of public health to cover what can really only be called genocide. In fact, when I looked at this, I really identified 5 crimes that apply to this situation. Crime number 1 is that there is no medical consent. These women are not told that this is an abortion-causing chemical. They're not told the truth about these vaccines, that they will kill their unborn babies. The women aren't given a choice at all. Even those of you out there who might be pro-choice on the abortion issue, well, these women weren't even given a choice. They weren't told the truth or given an opportunity to say no. It was just forced upon them under the guise of being a tetanus vaccine. The second crime is that this is race-based genocide. These women are targeted and selected because of their country of origin and their skin color and their race. They are Kenyan women, and they're being targeted because they're Black and because they're from Kenya. The World Health Organization doesn't do this to white women in Norway, for example. This is very specifically targeted based on race and country of origin and your genetic profile and dark skin color. So this is a race-based medical crime against women in Kenya. The third crime is that this is the deliberate killing of human life. These unborn babies are alive, they are conscious, they have nervous systems, and yet they are being killed, murdered by the people who formulated this vaccine and who are trying to use it as a population reduction mass sterilization system. And they are achieving that goal through the mass murder of innocent children by actually turning a woman's body against her own child, which is it's a crime within a crime. It's beyond normal crimes. This is pure evil that you're witnessing playing out there. The fourth crime is that this is a violation of Geneva Convention restrictions on the use of human beings as guinea pigs for medical experiments. This is clearly a medical experiment. Again, the women are given no consent whatsoever, and yet this is being injected into them without their knowledge, without their being informed. It is a medical experiment. It is a violation of the Geneva Convention laws, which were formed after the Nazi-era medical experiments were revealed on Jewish prisoners. So this is a crime against women in Kenya. The fifth crime that has to be noted here is that this is a crime against women. The women were specifically targeted for this vaccination campaign, according to LifeSite News. It wasn't given to men, it wasn't given to children, it was given only to women of childbearing age. They didn't even give it to older women. This was specifically targeting women who were from Kenya, who have a specific race and skin color and country of origin. And so as a result, this is not only a race-based crime, this is also a crime against all women, and it is a crime against the dignity of motherhood.
All right, now stop that right there. All right. So any because it's 9:20 now, but we can, like I said, we can pick up on another date. We can plan a date and we can continue. All right, but I wanted you to see just how diabolical some of these people are. And if a person doesn't have a belief in God, they are capable of anything. Right? And a lot of us, yeah, and a lot of us, we think that this stuff conspiracy. Nobody could be that diabolical. Yes, they can. Any person that does not have a belief in God, I tell you, and I promise you, that they are capable of anything. Anything.
But that's why God also says that there's a special place in hell for people like this. These evil, wicked things that they do. And the more that I hear about this stuff, when I read things like that and what God says will be done to them, and I get it. I get it.
Right.
They have to see God about this stuff.
Right.
They are going to see him.
And the thing that takes me out is, how can a mind even consider that there is no God? When you look at the wonders of this creation, and when you look at the miracle of your own body,
yes,
there's no way that this happened by accident. It's all by design. You know, I mean, what prevents the moon from crashing into the earth?
Right.
Or the earth crashing into the sun? You know, we have these free bodies in space, and all of them stay in their perfect nature. Okay, you know, so it's like it's amazing. You know, so you know, these people have a lot to answer for. They truly have a lot to answer for. But for the believer, as long as you believe and you work deeds of righteousness, you have nothing to worry about. You know, no matter what happens here, you don't have to. You don't have nothing. Have anything to worry about. You know, if you have that belief and you have those deeds that come along with it.
That's right, because God is still in charge.
That's right. That's right. And we all gonna leave here we gonna leave here someday in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, you would rather die here, you know, at peace with your creator, you know. But I mean, if you know, if anybody has anything to say, or you know, because we can get ready to wrap up. Since it's
I would like to just share, you know, that there is nothing new. This sounds cliche-ish, but there is nothing new under the sun.
You are absolutely right.
You know, and with the knowledge that we have, we ought to share to help make aware of people that are more like we are, that is seeking knowledge and truth and understanding, so that you know we can prepare for our destiny of eternal rest. You know, and with that, having that kind of peace, no matter whether you take a immunization or not, the point is, are you prepared for your eternal rest? And that's what we need to be sharing with one another, because there is a prepared place for prepared people, whether you believe God or you don't.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is that, you know, we, like I said, we all have to just work together as believers. And you know, any differences that we might have in, you know, in our belief system, you know, we let God deal with that. But right now, as believers, we need to work together, because this is Satan all the way. this is all the way.
It's definitely.
He's busy.
He is
really busy.
He's definitely busy. All right. So what we can do is, if you want, we can plan when we want to meet up again. Yeah, we can plan when we want to meet up again.
When was the last? I'm sorry.
Oh, the last one was about a week ago. I put
on
them
a Friday.
Yeah, I put them on YouTube.
Okay.
So each session is on YouTube. So if you missed one and you want to, you know, go back and check it out, you can. But it's like I said, we definitely have to work together, because you know, as the Quran says, it says God won't change the condition of a people until they attempt to change it themselves. So this is, you know, us trying to show effort and trying to, you know, educate ourselves and, you know, be able to help others, as the sister said, help people. But also we have to remember not to be frustrated, because belief isn't for everyone. And you gotta know it. that no matter what you say to them, no matter what you show them, they will not believe.
Right.
Not believe. So
Well, that's what I find so interesting because, you know, they're according to my belief and my knowledge and what I've learned through the Bible, that these things are taking place. That's why I said there isn't anything new under the sun, and that you know, God made evil just as well as He made good. Okay, so that's why we have evil, and you can't have evil without good. Because if you don't, how you want to know what's good if you don't have evil?
Right, that's true.
You know, so I just a lot of times people are not going to read a book; they're going to read people.
Right.
They're going to look at how you live and how you deal with things, and your response and not so much reaction, because when we react, it's not something we thought about. But when we respond, it's something that we know we can make a decision and a choice about how we decide we want to, you know, to deal with it. But again, there are people that's not going to come into the fold because they don't believe.
Right. Right.
And that's okay, because not everybody going to believe.
Right. And that's
so,
it.
And we don't be upset because they don't.
Exactly. Exactly. So
You know?
does anybody else want to say anything or have a comment you want to share, or like I said,
I look forward to the next meeting. I have to go, and it's been a pleasure listening to the comments and all of the shared interest of everybody who had something they wanted to share. And God bless all of you tonight. And
God bless you too.
And continue until next time we convene. Okay.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. See you, Dina.
Good night, my brothers and sisters.
All right. Take
See
care.
you later.
All right. Good night, all.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.
Good
The-
night.
Bye.
The bill was signed.
Yes.
Now, Sister Radia, do you want to plan the next session, or y'all just want to?
Well, no, you just let me know, and then I'll pop it out to my people.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm alaikum.
All right.
But
Well,
let's get on, darling.
y'all.
No,
Good
Brother
night.
Rashid.
Yeah, I'm here, Sister Saida.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something. I've sent you a few posts. I don't know if you saw them.
No, I didn't. I haven't. Where did you send them to?
I've texted them.
Just now?
No. As of the last session.
Oh no, I didn't get anything from you.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get anything.
Where is Brother Rashid? Here it is. So
Do you is 267-979-3577?
yeah, I'm looking for it now. 267. No, 745-9073.
Oh, you was giving somebody some knowledge.
Oh, that wasn't an old number either. What is that number?
All right. So what I'll do is I'll put my number in the chat box real quick. Let me see.
Oh my gosh, I sent you 1, 2, 3, 4 YouTube pieces.
That's what I'm saying. You were educating somebody.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of them. All right, here we go. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
All right. So there it is. That's me. So if you ever need to reach me, that's the number you can reach me at.
67973.
No, 979.
979.
979-3577.
Okay.
All right.
I'll resend them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And Jazakallah, may Allah protect you. We keep our prayers around you because this is very sensitive information you're giving out.
Alhamdulillah. Shukran. So
Yes.
and the thing is that, you know, it's all about Allah. It's all about in service to Allah. So, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it is.
Right.
Well, we appreciate it.
I
That's
feel you.
Right. Now, I appreciate you all.
Yes.
Too. Appreciate you all too. So maybe, you know, we'll take a break, and then in sometime in early January.
Inshallah. Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay. However you want to do it, let me know.
Yeah. Because I think we did because we did one the following week right after we had the last session. So, you know, give y'all some time to absorb some of that information.
Okay.
And then we'll start up again.
It's
All right.
definitely food for thought. All right.
Okie dokie.
Yep. All right, y'all.
All right.
Take care.
Assalamu.
All right. Walaikum salam.
Alaikum.
Here it is, my church. Can't